Gus, please stop. Gus, please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Don't. No, Gus, please. God. Welcome back to Origami Snowman. I'm Matt. Gus, I swear. God, this cat, I tell you. He's got a brother, Bill, who's asleep over there. Doesn't care what I'm doing. Not in the way. Does not need to be part of everything. Today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you some recommendations. This is a real quick, real short, real easy one. I've got 3 sci-fi and 3 fantasy. These are not my all-time favorites. These are not my top S-tier picks. These are just books that I highly would recommend if you're looking for just a good time. If you like sci-fi, if you like fantasy, they're not. Gus, please, Gus. Stop it! One of the best sci-fi books ever written, Ender's Game. It is amazing. If you've seen the movie, I'm so sorry. If you've not read the book, though, definitely read the book. Try to put it all out of your mind. Get in there, read the book. Now, Orson Scott Card, yes, can be a little problematic. If you read his later stuff, he does thread in his old man ideologies pretty heavily. But this is a whole series. Ender's Game, and then it goes off into the future for Ender. But then also Ender's Shadow, it's a companion novel, not as good, but there's a whole series that goes off in that direction. So if you are looking for just like a long drawn out story, sure, there's a whole series. But if you want an amazing, amazing standalone, because this stands on its own very well, this book. I've probably read this book more times than any other book. At least 12 times I've read it. It's amazing. I love it. And every time I'm surprised. Maybe I should pay attention better. I've got 2 sci-fi series. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There are so this book, this is for the parts 1 through 4, part 5. Douglas Adams was a genius. He was hilarious. He was drunk most of the time, and it comes through in his writing. He's amazing. He's absolutely fantastic. You know what? I didn't say anything about Ender's Game. Little boy, aliens, and war. Okay, moving on. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, grown man, aliens, destruction and travel, and very sarcastic hilarity. And a depressed robot, which, let me tell you, very relatable. This is a less well-known series, but it's chonky. It is the Otherland series by Tad Williams. Tad Williams writes really expansive sci-fi and fantasy. He wrote the Dragonbone series. I don't know how many books are in that. It might be just a trilogy. I don't know. But Otherland, it's 4 books, and they're all decent. 800 some pages. So we're not talking Brandon Sanderson, but it's pretty girthy stuff. This deals with the near future. They don't quite say exactly when, but it's a very relatable future where all of the internet interactivity is like online is all VR. The majority of the characters get trapped online. And they find themselves in these weird backrooms sort of areas where like it's a private server, and someone has designed this private server to be like a fantastic forest, except they're microscopic. They're like the size of bugs, not microscopic, but they're the size of bugs. And they're running through this world, and they are trying to get out without being eaten because they cannot unplug. They are trapped online. Another world is, all these people live on these cliffside homes, and there is just a big ravine and clouds, and there's no bottom. And one of these worlds that they find themselves in is just a house, an endless house. There's literally it's full of these monks who are in the library, and they find these, they don't know how to read. They don't know what any of these books mean, but they have found what they believe to be the holiest text in the entire library. And when these characters go and they look and they see, it's a cookbook. And so, it's very interesting. It's very immersive. It's a very, very, very interesting series. Otherland by Tad Williams. For quick fantasy, I said Orson Scott Card can be a little problematic. Here's a guy I don't know anything about. I don't want to know anything about. Please don't at me with something horrible he did or any allegations against him. I want to continue enjoying his work. Stephen R. Lawhead. I'm going to show you the cover of this book, and don't judge me. The guy's got a fantastic mustache, but that's not what drew me in. Taliesin, the first book in the Pendragon cycle. This is all Arthurian legend. It is so immersive. It is so realistic. You forget that you're not reading history at certain points. Taliesin, fantastic. That one deals with the fall of Atlantis and the rise of Great Britain. The second book, Merlin, amazing. The third book, Arthur, incredible. The fourth and fifth books in this series are... I didn't read them. I read parts of them. They're not a continuation of the story per se. It's more little short stories, little other things that happened in the meantime, and blah, 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 blah. So if you're reading this series, feel free to stop at book 3, Arthur. If you do that, you need to go and you need to pick up Avalon. Wow. If you read books 1, 2, and 3 of the Pendragon cycle and you go straight into Avalon, you'll lose your mind, like in a good way. It's so good. So the legend, it's the return of King Arthur. Now the legend of King Arthur went off. He went away. We don't know where, but he'll be back. He will return when the world needs him most. And that's what this is. That's him returning in present day. So it's a present day fantasy. And it's so good. It is so good. Like, it's almost worth just struggling through the bad mustaches for 3 books just to get to this book. But honestly, these books, this one especially, are amazing. So give them a shot. The next book, this one gets recommended a lot, and people don't call it out as a fantasy, and it really is a fantasy. Piranesi by Suzanne Clark. Susanna Clark wrote a book called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and that book is a doorstop. It is huge. It's really interesting. It's a really great take on magic, and it's really interesting. So if you don't mind a slower read, check it out. It's really good. But if you just want like a fun little, like, take you 2-3 days, Piranesi, Susanna Clark, I'm not going to tell you anything about it, not one bit, because you want to go into this thing blind. The less you know, the better. It's really good. And then finally, this was recommended from my friend Nathan. Nathan, if you're watching this, not all of your recommendations have been home runs. This one was really fun. This is what I call a matinee book. This is the kind of movie that you watch on Saturday afternoon if there's nothing else on, and you find out that you had a really good time. It's called Monster Hunter International by Larry Correia. It's really fun. There's a whole series of these. If you like big, ridiculous guns and B-movie monsters, this is a series for you. It's just a fun, just dumb read. Not dumb, that's not the right word. It's not gonna ask too much of you. You sit back and you watch it all happen in front of you. It's fun. Vampires, werewolves, just monsters galore, and giant, ridiculous guns. You're not coming out of this any smarter, but you won't feel like you wasted your time. So those are my 3 sci-fi and 3 fantasy recommendations for this week. I did just run over to my bookshelf and grab what I saw first, but definitely check those out. Anyway, if you have any sci-fi or fantasy recommendations for me, keep them to yourself, because I got a whole bunch of books that I got to read. I'm going to actually talk about those in my next video, which is coming up right now. I mean, well, for me. For you, it'll be a little while. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, I hope. Goodbye.